All right, in this video, I am going to model for you how to complete your TDA organizer. The first thing we need to do is ensure that we have a working claim or thesis statement. So my working claim framework says, in his short story, The Telltale Heart, Poe uses literary device 1 and literary device 2 to create a blank mood and a blank tone. Now, I have decided, since I do have a choice, I have decided that I am not going to be writing about tone. My essay is only going to be about mood. So I'm going to delete this section right here, put a period here, and I have already deleted the tone graphic organizer. I'm not using that. Now, I know that Edgar Allan Poe used repetition in just about every paragraph. So I know that my first literary device is going to be repetition. The second literary device I want to use, and I know that I've counseled you not to use this, but I'm going to use it since I'm the teacher, and I can do this, I'm going to use alliteration. So in his short story, The Telltale Heart, Poe uses repetition and alliteration to create an anxious mood. I'm going to stick with my example here, and I am going to do an anxious mood. So I already have repetition as my first literary device. I am going to make my second literary device alliteration. Okay. Now I have already found my first example of repetition. I need two more examples of repetition because I can't use the original example. That's just an example. And my mood is always going to be anxious. So I'm just going to copy and paste anxious into all of these rows because that is what I said in my claim. I said that Poe uses repetition and alliteration to create an anxious mood. Now, let's just pretend that I've already found my examples for repetition and I've completed the explanation and analysis. So I'm moving on to alliteration. I am going to go to this document right here, which I've shared with you guys. It's called Explaining Literary Devices. And no, that's not the one. I am going to go to the Telltale Heart annotations. And I'm going to see if I can find a good example of alliteration. Me, mad, man. I don't like that one. This is the one that I like. I like this one in lines 48 to 49. Move a muscle and in the meantime. So I'm going to come over here. I know this is lines 48 to 49. And then I need to get the quote. I don't want to waste my time typing. So I'm actually going to go into the story that's online and I'm going to press Control F, find, and I'm going to type move a muscle. There it is. Here's the quote right here. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. So I am going to copy and paste this right here. And I'm going to put that sentence right there. And there is my quote. I didn't even have to do anything. But the real part that I'm focusing on is right here. Move a muscle and in the meantime. That's my alliteration. And the specific alliteration, I'm going to underline it, is the repetition of the M sound. All right, now that I have that, I know that it creates an anxious mood. And so now I need to explain it. Just to recap, there are two resources that I use to get my lines and textual evidence in. The first thing I did is I went to the Telltale Heart annotations to find a strong example of alliteration. There are many examples of alliteration here, but I wanted one that really created that anxious feeling. And I feel that lines 48 to 49 does that. Now I'm going to go to my explanation and analysis, and I'm going to click on the Explaining Literary Devices handout, and I'm going to find alliteration. This is going to guide me through my explanation and analysis. Remember, for this section, I need to explain the meaning of the literary device in the quote and how it creates the mood. So let's start off by explaining the meaning of the literary device. How do I explain the meaning of alliteration? All right, let me come over here because I really don't know. I'm not sure how to start this. So let me start with the first question. It says, what initial consonant sound is being repeated? Oh, I know that. That's an M. So in lines 48 to 49, the author repeats the M sound when the narrator says, and I'm going to put that direct quote here. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. I need to fix my font because that irritates me when the font does not match. Oh, that still does not match. What size is this? This is Times New Roman 12. All right, let's get that to Times New Roman 12. I'm sorry, guys. This is just one of my little things. It's going to throw me off. Okay, here, it's fixed. So in lines 48 to 49, the author repeats the M sound when the narrator says, for a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. I'm trying to make this bold. I did not move a muscle. And in the meantime. All right, so I have that. And the next question says, what does the sentence with the alliteration mean? Or what is taking place at the point when the alliteration appears? Okay, I know what's taking place here. At this point in the story, the narrator the narrator has just made a sound and awakened the old man. In an effort to keep quiet and not let on that he's in the room, the narrator does not move a muscle and remains very still. That's the meaning. Okay, great. Now the next thing, this is the hard part. What feeling does the repeated consonant sound create? Now I have to think about what feeling the sound creates, which is really hard to do. Does the sound actually create a feeling? Now here's the interesting thing. Explanations come from the text, like I can read the text and say what it means. But analysis comes from my head. The analysis part is something that I think about, an idea that I think about and that I prove. So my idea is that when you make the sound, your lips actually come together and they seal shut. And so no sound can come out. No sound can come out. And it just so happens that the narrator is doing just that. He is keeping so still that no sound is made. I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime, so even the sound made with the lips reflects that stillness. And that creates an anxious mood because the mm, mm, sound makes you almost feel like a sound's gonna come out. A sound has to come out. What if he wakes up? And it just creates a tense feeling for the reader. If you hear that noise in the background, I apologize. My son is watching the Eagles game, so we'll bear with him. But that's going to be my explanation. So let me go ahead and type it in. The sound requires the speaker to seal his, I'll just say requires speakers to seal their lips in order to produce it. Likewise, or maybe I should say, so the sealed, this is going to be interesting, the sealed lip sound, sealed lip sound actually reflects the silence in the quote. Just like sound cannot come out of sealed lips, so no sound was coming from the narrator as he stood in the old man's room, waiting for him to fall back asleep. This silence and lack of movement, both in the story and in the sound of the sound the M makes, creates a sense of nervousness in the reader. The reader is anxious about what will happen if a sound is actually uttered. And there you have it. And I've already answered the last question. How does this sound affect the overall mood of the story? The silence or lack of movement, both in the story and in the sound, the M makes creates a sense of nervousness in the reader. The reader is anxious about what will happen if a sound is actually uttered. So here I have my explanation and analysis of the line.